This channel is all about learning applicable principles. Here we learn simple, practical steps that help us to bloom and flourish in our everyday lives, right? And we have been learning so many so far, but there are still many more to learn. But out of them is one. There is one that is the most challenging, and at least for me, it is the most frustrating part of learning to bloom and flourish in my everyday life. And this little frustrating guy is called consistency. I believe that you feel the same frustration when you've attended all the seminars, you've bought all the books, you've watched all the videos, you have set the goals, you've made the plans, you have gotten all the inspiration and the motivation to start. You have even overcome that first obstacle of starting. And then a mile or two into the journey, you stop. But guess what? In this video of today, we are going to deal with this frustrating aspect of blooming and flourishing in our everyday lives. We'll see 4 ways to train your brain to be consistent. So keep watching. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Shanti Bloom. If we haven't met, my name is Chantal, and I welcome you to my channel. You know, if you're interested in being productive, in blooming and flourishing in your everyday life, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, then please consider subscribing, because that is what Shanti Bloom is all about. And for my returning subscribers, you are the best. Thank you for your continuous love and support. Now, let's see how we can train this brain to be consistent, because it takes consistency to succeed. It takes us doing the same thing over and over for a long period of time in order to see results. And when we keep doing something over and over for a long period of time, what happens? It becomes a habit. What does that tell us? That habits are formed from consistency. And if it takes consistency to succeed, what does that mean? It takes good habits to succeed, and it takes bad ones to fail. But you and I know that it is easier to form bad habits than good habits, right? And even the bad habits are so hard to break. So I decided to look at the bad habits. How are they formed, and why do we hold on to bad habits? Why are they so difficult for us to stop them? Because we can use the same principles on how bad habits are formed to form good habits. Why are bad habits formed? Because we enjoy the process of that action. Even though we know the outcome is not good, the outcome is going to be bad, because we're enjoying the process of carrying out that action, it tells our brains to keep on provoking and reminding us to go back to those activities. We know that the outcome of eating unhealthy and junk food is a bad outcome, but because you're enjoying that process, your brain keeps reminding you and pushing you to go back to it until it becomes a habit. You know very well the consequences of smoking, but because you're enjoying that process, you continue to smoke. You know the consequences of alcoholism, but you're continuously doing it irrespective of the outcome because you are enjoying the process. So what does this tell us? If we find ways to enjoy the process, we will train our brains to keep reminding us, to keep pushing us to do it over and over again, because it is enjoyable, it is satisfying. And when we keep doing it over and over again, then it becomes a habit. Remember, consistency and habit are coupled with no option for divorce. When you are consistent at it, it becomes a habit. When it becomes a habit, what happens? You will find yourself being consistent in doing those things, carrying out those plans that are going to lead you towards accomplishing your purpose in life. So let us find out in what ways we can make the process enjoyable, make it satisfying, we can make it fun. Take note, I did not say that how we can make it easy or challenge-free or problem-free. It will be challenging, it will need hard work, but how can we make it fun? How can we make it enjoyable? How can we make it satisfying? By so doing, training our brains, tricking our brains to help us to be consistent. First thing is good planning. A good and enjoyable plan is one that answers why, when, and how. I'm going to take, for example, me taking my children to the park or to the playground. I remember earlier on, when they were much younger, there were times that the process that was meant to be enjoyable and fun sometimes turned out to be frustrating and overwhelming due to poor planning. I did not ask my why. Why am I taking them to the park? Am I just doing it, to check off one of those things that I should do as a parent, or as a, just because it's a responsibility? So I started by answering my why. Why am I taking them to the playground? Because they need it. They need it mentally, emotionally, they need it physically. They need to run around, they need to get that fresh air, the exercise. It was also a time of bonding and playing around with them. Now that I know my why, I am able to choose when. In order for me to, in order for us to accomplish this why, when is the best time? I can't take them out there when they are super hungry or they're super tired, it's nap time, and they're sleeping in the car, or they're just super cranky. Then I will not accomplish my why, and the process turns out to be what? Frustrating and not enjoyable. And when you know your why and you've picked your when, then now your what or how, I now thought, what are the activities that we will go do there? What should I prepare for us to take along that we need in order to accomplish our why? I still remember a time that it was a hot day and I took them out. I just didn't remember that the sprinklers were going to be out. Now we got there and other kids had prepared. They came with bathing suits, or maybe at least some change of clothes and towels. We had none of that. And now I'm thinking, should I drive all the way back home for this? Or should they just play around and not get into the water? And they're looking at you like, Mommy, I have to get into the water. The whole process, you're debating, and something that is meant to be enjoyable may turn out to be overwhelming and frustrating. And again, like I said, what are you telling your brain? Next time, let's not come to the park because it's not an enjoyable process. But when you know your why, you know your when, and you've planned your how and your activities, and everything is prepared, the process becomes a little bit more enjoyable. It becomes a little bit more satisfying. And what are you doing? You're training your brain to tell you that what? I'm looking forward to going back to the playground. I'm looking forward to going back to the park next time. And then it becomes a habit because you are enjoying the process. The second way to train your brain to be consistent or to enjoy the process is to surround yourself with somebody or people who can go through that process with you. And this does not necessarily mean that they have to be there from the beginning all the way to the end. At times there are people who show up at the beginning. Some people meet you halfway in your process. The bottom line is that you need genuine people who are ready to go with you through that process. They celebrate your process, they celebrate the journey and not just the favorable outcomes. If I am able to continue doing the things that I do, is because of the support that I get from my husband, my parents, my family, my friends, people who just encourage you, pray for you, and sometimes they even push you and hold you accountable. As much as I love to just sit here and share my heart with you and hoping that it can be of help to somebody, there are days when it is so challenging, it's like it may not happen because of other challenges, other things that come up. But then you need to have somebody that holds you accountable, or somebody that pushes you and encourages you not to give up. My husband would tell me, it's going to happen. Go do your thing. I'll figure out how I can do this, with the kids, or with this other assignment, or this other thing that had to be done. Also, make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who are doing the same or a similar thing to you, because somewhere you guys relate more, because you understand the ups and downs of the process. Parents who are parenting together, they understand the ups and downs of the process, and so they can support each other, and the process is more enjoyable. If you're into business, you surround yourself, with similar people so that you can understand that language. Even like being here on YouTube, I'm surrounded by amazing YouTubers who are so supportive. One is my amazing friend who has been of so much help. I'll ask her one thing and she's going to give me 20 other answers. And at times, even when I ask her nothing, she's like, hey, Chantal, think about this. And I'm going to give this, my friend, a shout out, Precious Kitchen. Guys, check out her channel. A lot of her recipes have made it to my home and have become my family's favorite. Tip number 3, don't be too hard on yourself. And this particular point is for me. I tend to be a little bit too hard on myself when things do not turn out the way I thought they were going to turn out. But this is not an excuse for us to be lazy and procrastinate. I'm talking about when you have done your best, when you've given it your all, and it still does not work out, in the timing that you wanted it to work. Give yourself a break. Be a little bit tolerant with yourself, because then you are training your brain to know that I'm enjoying this process, and your brain will want you to keep doing it because it does not involve a lot of frustration. I would like to say this one thing which is very, very important. Please do not allow the lack of consistency to make you give up. It's very easy to give up when you are tired of not being consistent with something. You feel like, well, I'm not consistent with my prayer life. Let me just forget about it. I'm not consistent with this diet. Let me forget about it. I'm not consistent with my exercise. Let me forget about it. No, please continue with that process. But rather, I would say that study your process. See what can be taken out, see what can be put in, see what can be adjusted. But while you're doing all this adjustment, continue doing that which you are doing. Somewhere down the road, you're going to become a little bit more consistent. There is no room for giving up. The fourth way to train your brain to be consistent is to remember the reward within the process and the rewards that lie beyond the process. One of the rewards within the process is that increased self-esteem, increase in self-worth. When you plan to do something and you actually carry it out, at the end of the day, you feel a little bit proud of yourself, and it gives you some self-worth. On the other hand, when you do not do it, at the end of the day, you do not really feel proud of yourself. So when you think about those little rewards that you're going to get within the process, that is a motivation for you to stay consistent. The end result or the final outcome should not really be your primary motivator, but it is a motivator. It's one of those things that when you keep in mind where you're going, how the outcome is going to be like, it encourages you to keep on going. When you know that at the end of the day, I'm going to get good health if I follow this diet, then you continue to follow that diet. If you know that if I'm consistent with my prayers and meditation, then my spirit man is going to be alive, it's going to be strong, and I'll be able to fight and resist every other external storm that comes my way. Then you will continue to do it because you're thinking about the outcome. The price you pay for consistency and discipline is very little compared to that great reward that you're going to get at the end. On the other hand, the price that you pay for inconsistency and lack of discipline is just too great compared to those little momentary pleasure and satisfaction that you get. So let us look at this reward. Let it be an encouragement for us to continue doing that which we're doing, to train our brains to be consistent, make it a habit, and succeed. I hope you found this helpful, and if you did, then please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so. And always remember, put your best foot forward, do your best to bloom and flourish in your everyday life. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.